Hi, everybody. So this week we're going to do chapter 29. But before we do chapter 29, I just want to review chapter 26 to 28. Okay? So 26 to 28, we learned about the mood, the negative mood, the depression, the sadness, the pain that people experience for different reasons, sometimes for things that happen to them that they can't control. And the Tanya tells you how to deal with it. Sometimes it could be pain from their past, things that they did in the past. And in chapter 28, it spoke about the pain of the present, of not accepting who you are, being upset about not being able to get rid of your evil and constantly being distracted and constantly having these negative feelings. And the Tanya constantly tell you, don't be saddened by it. Don't be depressed by it. This is the human being. This is how we're created. And we're created like that in order to fulfill our mission. If we didn't have that, you wouldn't be able to fulfill your mission. A tzaddik, he has a different job. He's not the same. He is not the same like us. They don't have that struggle of having negative thoughts bringing them down constantly because they live above evil. They don't see klipa. They only see godliness in this world. But they don't have the same job. They don't produce the same kind of food to God. Mm-hmm. They just produce sweetness. They're not able to accomplish what the regular person who's a Benoni or who's able to reach a Benoni produces. A Benoni, with his struggle, he's able to produce that sour, spicy, that food that was really worked on. He's able, every time he controls or she controls their impulses, they bring out a light that only a Benoni or someone who's able to become a Benoni is able to produce. Something that a tzaddik cannot produce. So the Tanya tells you, don't be depressed by that. Don't be saddened by that. Accept it. And not only accept it, be rejoiced that this is your mission. This is why you were created for. And this is your strength. That our biggest weakness is really our biggest strength. And I forgot, chapter 28 spoke about something more specific, actually. It spoke about the thoughts that come during prayer. Yeah. Now we have to understand that prayer is one of the most unique services that exist in Judaism. Every mitzvah you do, whether you feel or not, you give charity, whether you feel or not, you light the Shabbat candles, whether you feel or not, you can still do it. Prayer, you cannot pray if your heart is not open. You cannot pray if you don't feel connected. Prayer is really a work of the heart, it's called. A service of the heart. It's when your heart is open and connected and you feel it's like that relationship, that deep relationship you have with Hashem. Prayer takes a very special place in Judaism, and the Tanya talks a lot about prayer. Now, during prayer, you get those thoughts start coming. Why? And you can be upset at it. The Benoni, the only time they are able to feel connected to God, to feel that love towards God, is during prayer. And just when they want to start praying, that annoying voice comes and tells them and distracts them and brings them down. And all these negative thoughts comes and stops them from praying. And he can be depressed about it. He says, oh my God, if I have this, look how bad I am. The Tanya tells you, no, don't see yourself as a bad person. This is normal because prayer is so important, because God loves prayer. It's that connection that he has with you, or, that special connection. These negative thoughts are going to come just now. It has nothing to do with you. Don't identify with these negative thoughts. They're just to stop you from praying, because they know that you're going to have a special connection.
And why would they try to stop?
Because this is what God really wants from us. He wants that special connection. Prayer is when you connect to God, is when you have that one-on-one communication.
So why would he make us stop having
It's not
moments?
it's the evil inclination that was created. Exactly. Will feel that it's coming right now and will stop you from getting that special connection. Now, you asked a very interesting question. Why would God want us to do? And it's funny because in chapter 29, it talks about, it gives an example, but we're first going to start chapter 29, and then you'll see your answer soon. But the point in chapter 28, it says, don't be depressed by these negative thoughts, because anytime you're about to do something really good, And that comes in general. Anytime in life you're about to do something really good, a negative force is going to come and try to fight it all the time. And whenever you feel resistance, you know
you're
in the right position. Don't be depressed. Don't identify with that negativity, but instead find extra strength to fight it and to still do what you have to do. So when in prayer, you're about to pray and you feel those thoughts, go find that strength and still pray. Try to connect to God in whatever way you want. Okay, so these chapters spoke about sadness, depression, and how we can fight it, about the different kind of sadness. I'm not going to go into details. I think after I finish the chapters on sadness, I'm going to review we'll have like a big review on the different kind of sadness. Chapter 29 talks about numbness. It's called Timtum Halev. Timtum Halev is numbness of the heart. What can you guys tell me about numbness? Does it ring a bell or apathy, right? Numbness. Apathy, is that the right word?
Yeah, apathy is good.
Yeah, apathy, numbness, c'est en français, attends, c'est comment on dit quand tu refroidis quelque chose and you don't tu le sens plus.
Genre?
Comme anesthésié, quand ton cœur il est anesthésié, gelé, tu sens plus rien, tu sens pas d'émotion. T'as pas d'émotion. So c'est pas la tristesse, it's not sadness, but it's numbness. But why does the Tanya bring it? Because sadness and numbness are both something that will block you from feeling. Yeah. So sadness will block you from, you see people that are depressed or angry also will not be able to connect, will not be able to love. You'll see the minute people go into depressions, they break all their relationships. So that's what sadness, that's where sadness we see is a lack of, it blocks, it's not a lack of emotion, it blocks you from an emotion. Numbness is also, it's a lack of emotion. Numbness is like a shell that blocks your heart. It's like your heart is a rock and you don't feel anything.
From what it comes.
So from what it comes. So here it's going to explain us from what it comes. We're going to read inside. Do you have your Tanya? Maybe you can share with Dorit, and I'm gonna read inside. It's going to explain exactly where the numbness comes from and how dangerous numbness is. Very, very dangerous. Sadness. Probably more, because sadness, you still feel some pain.
Exactly.
But it's just going to stop you from loving. It's going to stop you from connecting, but you still feel the pain. Numbness, you don't feel anything. It's compared to l'indifférence to cold. There's nothing more dangerous than cold. Yeah. Than being cold. Yeah. And it even, we'll see. Okay, we're going to read inside and then I'll ubifrat כשיזכר תומאס נפשה בחטאס נעורים והפגם שעשה בעל יונים ושם הוא למעלה מהזמן וכאילו פגם ונטמא הים חס ושלום ממש. Sorry, I started in the wrong place. I'm reading in the wrong place. I'm so sorry. Okay, let me just find the beginning. Okay, do you guys see the beginning? Can you read the first word? I just want to make sure we're both. אך עוד אחת צריך להשיס עצס בנפש הבינוני. Those whose souls are of the level of Benoni must seek means of contending with yet another difficulty. Okay, so now he's adding another difficulty, and it goes in the same category of sadness. Okay, what is this difficulty? Asher lif'amim ve'itim rabim yesh lahem timtum halev shenase ke'even velo yachal liftoch liba b'shum ofen la'avoda shebalev zo tefila. Occasionally, and even frequently, they experience a dullness of the heart, as though it had turned to a stone. And try as they might, they cannot open their heart in prayer, which is by definition the service of the heart. וגם לפעמים לא יוכל להילחם עם היצר לקדש עצמה במותר לי מפני כבדש שבליבי. Also, the heaviness in his heart prevents him at times from waging war against the evil impulse in sanctifying himself in permitted matters. וזוהי היא עצה הייעוצה בזוהר הקודש דאמר רב מטיפתא בגן עדן דלה סליק בי נהורה מבטשין לי חולו. Gufa de la salik be nehora de nishmasa mivat shin le chulu. Okay, sorry, that was a different language. I don't think it was Hebrew, so I had a hard time reading that. In this case, the advice given to the in the Holy Zohar is, as the president of the Academy of Gan Eden said, a wooden beam which does not catch fire should be splintered, and similarly, a body into which the light of the soul does not penetrate should be crushed. And thereby the body becomes receptive to the soul's light, as the Zohar concludes. Perush nehora de nishmata she'or haneshama v'asechel eno meir kol kach limshol al chumrias shebaguf. The reference of the light of the soul, which in this case does not penetrate the body, means that the light of the soul and the intellect does not illuminate to such an extent as to prevail over the coarseness of the body. I'm going to explain everything. We're just reading inside. ואף שמבין ומזבונן בשכלה בגדולת השם אינו נתפס ונדבק במוחו כל כך שיוכל למשול על חומריוס הלב מחמת חומריוסן וגסוסם. Thus, although he understands and meditates in his mind on the greatness of God, yet that which he understands is not apprehended and implemented in his mind to the point where it enables him to prevail over the coarseness of the heart, because of the degree of their coarseness and crassness. V'hasiba hi gasus haklipa shemagbia atzma al org kedushas nefesh alokis umistara umachshicha. The cause of this deficiency is the arrogance of the klipa of the animal soul, which exalts itself above the holiness of the light of the divine soul, so that it obscures and darkens its light. Okay? So we just started the chapter, and it explained how another challenge a Benoni could face. Okay, so he challenges being depressed about himself, being depressed about always having these negative thoughts, and the Tanya says, don't be depressed about that. This is not who you are. They're there just to challenge you, to make you stronger, and they're not going to go away, but it's not who you are. He adds something else can happen. After even he becomes a Benoni, after he fought his depression, he can start feeling numb. He can start not feeling. And because he doesn't feel anything, he can't pray, because you have to have some feeling to pray to God. When you read the words, you're talking to someone. When you want to talk to someone, you need to have some feelings, especially when you're talking loving words and connecting words. So his heart becomes hard like a rock, and he can't feel anything. And even if he meditates and he thinks about God, he still will not feel anything.
We're
Okay?
talking about a Benoni now.
We're talking about Benoni. Yeah, Benoni, we have the potential to become a Benoni. Okay. So in a way, we could apply it to our life. So a Benoni, this is talking about someone who already became a Benoni. The whole Tanya talks about a Benoni. But because we have the potential to become a Benoni, it could apply to us. It's a work that can apply to us. So this numbness, it says, when you have a big log, you have a fireplace. Yeah. You know how to light a fire. You ever lit a fire? When you try to light a big log, it doesn't light. You break it, you hit it, and it catches. Or sometimes when the logs are lit already, like I have a fireplace, I've seen that. The logs are lit, and you put a new log, and it's trying to catch on, but it's not catching, and you hit the log that's lit already, and it has a fire inside, but it's not strong enough to light the other one. You hit it, and suddenly like a huge fire comes out. So just the concept of hitting something and the fire comes out. The more light you add to that log is not going to light it, right? If you start with a little match, it doesn't work. You add a huge powerful fire, it's still not going to light the log. The minute you cut it into small pieces, and it's funny that I was learning it with a rabbi, and he did it in front of us. So he tried to light the log, and it wasn't lighting. And when he cracked it, the little pieces, lit up more than if you light the big log. So the heart, okay, the heart is compared to that log, that hard rock. If you put fire, what's the fire? The Torah light, the light of the Torah, the understanding that whatever it is that comes from the Torah, it won't light up your heart. It won't reignite that flame. It will still be numb. By crushing it,
which is what?
Okay, by crushing it, that's what's going to ignite it. So what is crushing it? So first you ask the first question, what does that come from? The Tanya just said it. This comes, the cause of this deficiency, where does it come from? The arrogance of the klipa. The klipa is arrogant. It says, I don't need anything. I'm arrogant. It covers and it creates a shell around your heart, okay, which is arrogance. It comes from the arrogance, and it blocks you from feeling.
But you just go suddenly numb like that?
So it comes from the fact that you have klipa there. We all have.
What
so yes,
that she suddenly can become numb and heartless and without
so
feelings, without
very
emotions,
interesting.
like,
You're saying that. So and it could come from being like, it comes, if you notice that first it spoke about sadness and then it spoke about numbness.
Right.
So as the Benoni, as you work as a person and you work on different things, you become more sensitive to different negative or evil aspects. So the Benoni here in this case, how it happened, okay, after I can't tell you the psychology how everyone can become numb, but in this case specifically, the Benoni, after he fought and he became more refined, he fought his evil inclination and he's able to control it, he becomes more sensitive to klipa, and the klipa kind of can create a shell around him, just like someone who stops eating like food that are junk or whatever, and it never affected him. Suddenly, after not eating for a while, they'll eat a little bit and suddenly their stomach is going to hurt. Like, where did that come from? It's because your stomach became sensitive to it before it wasn't. So too, that your heart, the Benoni who's fighting his evil, but it's still going to be there, it's never going to leave, becomes more sensitive, and it could create, it's a challenge that could come up after he fought his evil inclination and became a Benoni. He can get that from klipa, from the shell, from the arrogance, because in the klipa there's arrogance. Okay, so you can say you're arrogant, but you're not the klipa. But when you have it within, this is who you identify with. Okay, and it's going to talk about that in the. So where does it come from? It comes from the fact that he's a little bit more sensitive to klipa, and that it could create a shell.
And you were about to explain what it is.
So how does he do it? He has to crush it. And it says not he doesn't crush his heart. He doesn't crush the klipa. He crushes himself. Because Benoni didn't get rid of his evil inclination. Every morning we say, Modani, lefanecha, melacha v'kayam, shechazarta bi nishmati, bechamla rabba emunatecha. You returned my soul to me. That means your soul and you are two different aspects. Because your soul is godly, and me is still the animal soul, the body, that you're still human. When you return your soul, and you still identify with your evil inclination. Tzaddik, it says a tzaddik is one with his neshama. So,
il fait moderne ou pas le
il fait moderne, mais je sais pas s'il le dit différemment. They have a different, they really have a different, I don't know if it's different, but they really have a different avoda. They have a different service. But a tzaddik and his neshama, his godly soul, is one. Benoni or a rasha, it's two separate things. So what are you crushing? What klipa? You are the klipa. You're crushing yourself. So the person has to crush himself. How does he crush himself? And of course, it never has to crush. Écraser. It's funny because you remember you said.
Comment un crush, c'est un coup de foudre?
No. Crush. You have to break. Let's use the word break. Dorit, you were telling us how, and it happened. So very important to know that this work, you don't do it today. Okay, the Rebbe, our Rebbe, Lubavitcher Rebbe, this was written during the time of the Alter Rebbe, but the Rebbe today, he wrote a mimer, he said, today we don't break ourselves. It's not our kind of work. Instead, we use it with, we bring a lot of positive and joy, and the joy can break the same amount. And I'm going to explain to you more. Dorit was saying that in school, she had a teacher that would hit them, right? And every time she would see her after, like she was a normal person, but in school she had to hit them. What did she say? She said, I have to break the child, right? in order for them to learn and grow.
Yeah.
Because it was
Marie
really,
who said it.
it was Marie?
Yeah.
Wasn't you?
Non, pas break, elle a jamais dit ça, c'est peut-être Marie, ouais.
Il faut,
Elle nous frappait.
I thought it was so Marie said it.
Mais le bon mot, c'est modeler. On va ici,
C'est ça.
ils le disent au Québec, il faut casser ce caractère pour un petit bébé à 2 ans.
So it's
Il est
exactly
on
what
veut
it's saying.
casser son
So
caractère.
that numbness, you have to crush it, okay, break it in order to be able to feel again and to get the light. Just like that piece of wood, you have to break and in order for it to light up and passion. How do you break it? By really making it understand that it's bad and that it's negative and that wait, I want to read exactly the words I wrote. I just want to So how do you break? So when you crush a Benoni, you crush a person himself, and you make him understand how it's bad what he's doing. You really like you give him that, you wake him up. It's like a wake up call to show him like look. You don't feel. Look at you. Look at how you're exactly like a
But
conscious.
Why crushing? C'est violent. Pourquoi pas
So
se parler?
So today we don't use that. Today it doesn't work anymore. And it's funny, I'm thinking like even in the education of kids, like they used to hit kids, maybe it worked back then, I don't know. But today it says, the Rebbe says that we went through so much negative and so much crushing that today we need positive. And that same way we have to break that log, we can break it in a positive way. You can, with a lot of joy, a lot of positive, you can relive, you can reignite your heart and break that numbness. So we're going to learn, because it's important to understand. I'm going to take some water. Is that a cup?
Yeah.
Okay. And so it's still interesting to understand how it works, but we should not apply that to ourselves. We should not crush ourselves or break ourselves and really bring ourselves down in order to break that klipa that surrounds our heart. So that shouldn't be done today, but it's interesting to know how it works, to understand what happens to our heart, why we feel numb. Again, we feel numb because of the klipa, the arrogance of the klipa of the animal soul that completely surrounds our heart and creates a shell to the point that you can't feel anymore. Okay? And so we need to get rid of that shell somehow.
I'm still asking myself, if God wants us to connect with him, wants us to pray, and wants us to love him and everything, why you put so much challenges?
So
and
very good question. Dorit asked a question: if God wants us to pray and to love and to connect, why does he put so many challenges? So it would be easy if we didn't have a challenge. Why?
Yeah, we would love him.
There's a story of a king.
Okay.
He had a perfect prince. His prince was the good kid. The good kid who loved learning and who loved, doing the right thing, and who loved whatever his father said. Yes, of course. Those good kids. And the king was a smart king. He said, look, he's going to one day take me over. If he continues like that, he won't be able to be strong and to be, I really need to see if he's going to be able to be a good king and take over this huge responsibility on his shoulders. What did he do? He hired a harlot, a prostitute, a zona. I know, again, we spoke about it Shabbat, but okay, this is written in this parak, actually, in the Tanya. He hires a harlot and he tells her, you're hired to challenge my prince, okay? Of course, the princes were not able, they had certain rules. I guess they had to
go with the prostitute.
Right, they can't,
Yeah,
right?
okay.
So he said, but you're going to challenge him. You're going to come in those moments, but know that as much as you challenge him, make sure he doesn't fail, because we want him, or not make sure. The point of him, she knows she was hired by the king. The point of him is not to fail. We want him to become stronger, okay? So this woman, she does her job really well, but she knows in her head that she doesn't want the prince to fail. Even if she's going to work hard, she needs to challenge him. She wants him to be a good king. She knows the importance of him. If she makes him easy challenges, it's not going to bring out his strength. So yes, she goes and she drives him nuts and everything, whatever she does, but herself, she doesn't want the prince to fail. This mashal, this parable represents the harlot represents the evil that God created, the evil within us, these challenges that we call, whatever you want to call it, evil, challenges, darkness. This klipa was created by God to make us stronger. He obviously wants us to have a huge responsibility, is in order to bring down godliness into this world, which is opposite to what God is. In order to be able to bring godliness into this world, we need to be strong. We need to be able to overcome. So yes, he wants us to be connected, but it's not just be connected. To be a good kid and say, yes, I'll do whatever you do is not challenging, is not showing your strength. When do you see your strength? When you're able to fight that evil, that harlot, and still overcome that challenge and still connect to God, even when you don't see it, even when it's so challenging. And many times you see that example, not only that example of in this parak, it says the example of the harlot, but there's also the example of the prince that was sent away, that the king sent away far away in a different country in order to test them. And why? Because again, the king wanted them to become stronger, to become a better person. That prince, that princess, really the Jewish people represent that prince and that princess. And it's only to make us stronger. Why do you go and work out? Why do you go and run? Why should you do that?
I need to be stronger for a reason.
For what?
With God, why would he want me to
but it's a workout, it's muscles.
I know.
Why do you need to be stronger? Are you going to be stronger if you don't have a challenge? If you don't work out, are you going to be strong?
No.
So it's the same thing. Why do we have to be strong? Just like a healthy body, spiritual. Just like you could understand your body needs to work out to be stronger. Everything it represents in the holy world. Every time you work a muscle, you become stronger. You run, your heart rate goes higher. That represents in the whole holy world. Every work you do in Torah and mitzvot makes your neshama stronger. Okay, the body is just there to explain us how the spiritual body works. Yeah. So this fighting that we have, why does he tell us not to be depressed? He tells us this is exactly your workout that you have to do. This workout is what you have to do. It's not depressing. Are you depressed every time it hurts you to run or to? Does it make you sad?
No, it just makes me sore.
It's hard. It's hard to get into it, but it shouldn't make you sad. It shouldn't make you question. This is what makes you stronger and better person. And you see, always the people who went through the biggest challenges are always the strongest people. So that's exactly it. If you can understand why working out will make you stronger, you can understand why fighting any negativity will make you spiritually stronger. And over here, it doesn't only talk about fighting, it talks about breaking. Okay, now, there's 3 different kind of spiritual aspects. There's wood, cracking. You know, when you light a fire, you hear the crackling. You hear the crackling of the wood?
Yeah.
When you light straw, you'll also hear like a sizzling, not a crackling, but a sizzling. And when you light oil, is there any noise? There's no noise. There's no resistance. The wood resists the fire. The wood does not want to burn. It resists the fire. The wood represents us, represents the physical, the evil, the human, the klipa that resists to fire, does not want to be lit by fire. And you have to crack it in order to light it up. And then you have a beautiful fire. The straw is a little bit weaker. It doesn't resist as much. And the oil represents the tzaddik who does not resist at all. And not only doesn't resist, but if you touch oil that's hot, you burn. Okay? So the Benoni is at a level of a wood. And a Benoni who will experience numbness. We all experience numbness in our life. and it's normal. It's the klipa that will bring us to that. Okay, it's a different form of sadness. It's a different form of lack of emotion, but it's more dangerous than sadness. It's the most dangerous thing, and you cannot ever live with numbness. You have to find a way to break it. Back then, the Alter Rebbe explains how to crush it. You crush it. You explain to yourself, because it should never be crushed by somebody else. Unfortunately, a lot of people know how to crush others, but it should be crushed by yourself. That work where you really explain to yourself and face who yourself is, that you don't have those feelings, that you're negative, and you should crush that klipa by understanding what the klipa is, by understanding the negative effect it has on you, by understanding that its ugliness. You crush that klipa, and with that you should be able to feel again. But again, today we do it with joy. We add a lot of joy, a lot of positive. Sorry, I want to read a little bit. I think I need to read. Don't want to become sensitive. Okay. Okay, something very interesting. It says that in the Gemara, it says that if a person is praying and a snake comes up to him, he shouldn't stop from praying. But if a scorpion comes, he should make sure it goes away, and he should stop praying, okay? When we talk praying, it's specifically the Amida. Why? Because when a snake bites, it's a warm and fiery, a fiery, hot poison, okay? It obviously represents something. And when a scorpion bites, it's cold and it removes your energy. This represents the scorpion and the snake represents the evil inclination within you. So when you have an evil inclination that's warm and fiery, it's okay, just continue davening. But when you have an evil thought or an evil feeling or a numbness that comes, a scorpion kind of evil that comes and really numbs you, and you just feel low on energy, stop praying, get rid of it first, and then you can continue praying. Intense?
Well, if I saw a snake or a scorpion, I'd be...
Yes, that's for sure. But here it's talking about the snake within us. Okay. So again, Haneshama Shinasata Bi, the neshama you gave me is the soul that you gave to my ego. Okay? We are egoistic, selfish people. Okay? So this is why it's going to happen to us, that we're going to get that numbness. Okay? It depends throughout life how refined. I think it's a step after. When you're more refined, you can get to numbness, if I understood well from the Tanya. So it doesn't come right away, it comes after, and complacency. Can you explain what that means? Just want to make sure I understood.
Complacency is when you just accept whatever is. You just let it go, and
exactly.
You don't try to fight it.
So this is what brings to dullness. When you're like, okay. I just did a little bit of it's fine. I just, touched that by mistake, like little things that are not especially bad, and you're like, okay, it's fine. I'll just ignore that. Or it's just fine. I ignore that. That can bring you to dullness and to numbness. So complacency. Comment on dit en français?
Je crois que c'est la complaisance.
Complaisance, tu dis, bon, ça va, je laisse passer. This brings you to numbness. This can bring you, this is the path to numbness.
So what should you do?
First of all, you shouldn't be complacent. Shouldn't be complacent. And you should crush that ego that was created through complacency.
Mais j'ai une question. Est-ce qu'on parle encore que de la prière ou en général?
So, why we are talking about tefillah here? Because the first thing that's going to be affected by Timtum Lev is prayer.
Okay.
Why? Because if you're feeling numb, you can still do action, right?
Yeah.
If you're feeling in a relationship, if you're feeling numb and you don't feel that emotions, you have ups and downs in a relationship.
Absolutely.
And if your husband or your wife asks you to do something, you can still do something for them.
Yeah.
But after the intimate part of it is going to be harder. You can't
Ouais, mais des fois, tu es
hide.
sur le pilote automatique. Tu fais juste tes choses. Comme je connais beaucoup de gens qui prient par réflexe, par automatisme. Et
Yeah, but it's not. That's not prayer. Prayer is service of the God. It's not.
Do it. It's still done.
It's gonna be harder to pray, to really think. We're talking about prayer. Prayer to read words. Anybody can read words. They're not praying.
Yeah.
You're not praying when you're reading words. Prayer, you have to pray. You have to be connected. But giving charity, you're still doing something good when you're. Mais c'est ça que ce que je dis. So giving charity, you could do without the heart.
Yeah.
Praying, you can't do without the heart. Prayer is a service of the heart. You have to be connected. You have to be connected. People that go to synagogue and they're reading and they're feeling numb. They're not praying. That's not called prayer. They're reading words. They're not praying. You have to have something, a little bit of feeling. And it's the only thing that's going to be affected. That's why it's giving prayer. And again, this is my own, I'm going to compare to relationship. In a relationship, they can live very well with numbness. Mm-hmm. They can help each other. The minute it comes to intimacy, they're not going to be, you can't fake it. Yeah. You can't fake it. So that's what prayer is, really intimacy with God. It's when you have that loving connection. For someone to read, they're not praying. To read the words, they're not praying. You know? And even if they go to...
It's still done.
It's done because it's part of the routine, but they're not praying. And they know very well they're not praying. But they're giving charity and they're helping another poor. They're putting a mezuzah. I'm saying other mitzvahs wouldn't be affected as when it's by prayer. So really, Timtum Alev affects the prayer number one. And what brings you to it is the fact that you, I guess, went on the path of complacency. I'm sorry. By the way, it's a new word for me. That's why I was like, I understood because what it was, it's basically accepting it. It's someone who's a good person, but who's like, okay, fine, I'll leave this. I'll let this go. I'll let this go. And you can't. You can't. Life, you cannot just follow. You cannot just let things. This is what the Tanya tells us. You constantly have to be on guard, constantly be fighting back, constantly blocking, constantly making sure that your fire within is burning. And how do you do that? Once you reach Timtum Alev, because you went through complacency, you have to be able to crush that ego.
But complacency is also a lack of judgment. Like you're not using your judgment, you're just letting things go. So you're not fighting, you're not resisting, and you're not making a conscious choice to say, this doesn't work, this is wrong.
So that's exactly what you said. Autopilot is wrong. You cannot.
Yeah.
You cannot be. We all do it, but in Judaism it doesn't work. It will bring you to numbness. It will bring you to.
Jewish, even if I'm sur le pilote automatique.
No, you're still Jewish. You're never gonna stop being Jewish. I'm saying, if you want that burning, loving relationship with God, if you want to grow as a person in Judaism, to live like that will not help. It will only bring you to numbness. It will block you. So yes, you have your answer right there. How do you get there? It's by being on autopilot, by just doing things routinely. Why do we have it, this challenge? Why does God send us this challenge? Because if not, we would all be numb from doing things out of routine. So yes, we need to constantly be on top and passionate and refine our passion about different things. It's not good to live.
And how do you motivate yourself?
How do you motivate yourself?
Like when you do only that, the Benonite does only that. How does he bring passion to something so routine?
So yes, I won't give you the answer today. Next week I will give you the motivation.
Because I say if I was just working out, how do I find passion to connect with my fitness or my workout, or how would I? C'est bien parce que j'ai d'autres choses dans la vie en général.
So that next week we will understand more what will motivate us, how to crush it. I'm going to go more into details. This week, first, we understood what brings us to numbness, why numbness is super dangerous. It's the most dangerous thing, more dangerous than any other feeling, more dangerous than a poisonous snake that gives you fiery poison, which represents that evil that gives you a fiery passion to do something evil, is not as bad as something that makes you no energy. I have no energy. Then complacency is one of the worst things. It's not just doing things on autopilot. Can you imagine? Someone who does routine Judaism every day, they just do routine, but they have no energy. They just do like, with no judgment, just because they were used to, can be worse than a person who's sinning with fiery passion. Just think about it. It's crazy. Because
how is that worse though?
Yeah, me too.
How is that worse? Is because the coldness, it's indifference, bring you to indifference. You don't feel anything. That person, that fiery person who does a sin with fire, in the minute he channels that fire for something good. It's much easier than awakening something, a rock, than breaking a rock, than lighting a log. You have to crush it and you have to work hard, and that's how it's much harder. That person who has that fiery passion doesn't need to break anything. He has that passion. It just needs to be channeled to the right thing. But the person who has numbness, who has a shell around him, and that you can't light up the fire, there's nothing more. The other person has the fire. They have the fire. We just have to contain it, calm down, make sure it doesn't burn anything, make sure it doesn't go too far, make sure he doesn't get hurt. So there's it's the numbness that you can't light the fire. You can't even light it. It's cold.
Those are challenges.
So yes, we finished for this week. Next week, we are going to learn a bit more how to remove that shell, how to remove that challenge, how to be more motivated and not being cold and low on energy. So thank you very much. We'll see you next week.
Or un échama, il fait quoi là-dedans?